What's going on, Facebook and YouTube world? What's happening, everybody? Happy New Year's. It's 2021, y'all. That's right. A new year is here. And man, I'm telling you, it is moving. What is it now? January the 6th. We just came off of celebrating, and I'm not so sure a lot of people were celebrating on New Year's so much as feeling a relief that 2020 was behind us. Either way, we have a lot to celebrate. The fact that we're alive. I am grateful, personally speaking. I am really, really grateful to still be alive. And I know those of you who are watching and listening, you feel the same way I do. 2020 was quite a year. I've been telling people last year that 2020 was one of those years that you could have never imagined would take place because there was no other year that you could ever compare it to. So here we are. It's January 6th, 2021. So I want to welcome everybody. Happy New Year's. This is my first live that I've done in the new year. I've taken time to rest. I've taken time to regenerate and renew myself, to get still and discover and find out, okay, what's my assignment for 2021? Asking God, asking the Supreme Being, asking that higher power for that wisdom and understanding as to how I should serve, how I should show up, and how I should support and love people. Because one of the big things that a lot of people are concerned about, whether they ask the question or not, me being a 23-year one-on-one personal trainer, speaker, nutrition performance coach, online weight loss expert, a lot of people are really striving to figure out how to eat to survive, thrive, and stay alive. And so I wanted to give this talk that title, Eating to Survive, Thrive, and Stay Alive in 2021. So I want to welcome everybody. And if you would, I'm not going to be on here long, so make sure you share this with those you care about, because I'm going to share some insights that I believe will be very, very beneficial. But this live will be probably one of my shorter lives as I kick off a series of talks that I intend to give throughout the year. So I want to say thank you for watching live. And the first thing I want to share with you is that God's biology has enormous potential. And a lot of times in my 23 years of working with people, whether it's for personal training or nutrition performance coaching online, people don't really understand how powerful their body is. People don't understand that there's inherent health potential inside or residing within the cell. So one of the things I enjoy about what I do is basically informing people and inspiring people to activate what's already there. Oftentimes, if you're looking at your body, you may be thinking like, wow, I see all this fat on my body that I once never had, but now it's here. I'm like, man, how am I going to lose weight? A lot of people are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. A lot of people have digestive and gut issues. A lot of people are dealing with heart disease. I was communicating with a gentleman on Facebook through Messenger last night who is hospitalized because he has heart disease and he's obese. So, people, 2020 really was like a wake-up call for most of us and many of us, or if not all of us, because it basically made us focus and in many cases fear this virus, the coronavirus, or SARS-CoV-2. And now they have a new variant strain. So instead of me focusing on that, my focus in 2021, not that I ever stopped focusing on it, but because of what took place with the emergence of the coronavirus, I did a lot of my talks and a lot of conversations, and the insights I shared were around fortifying God's biology. And so, for 2021, it's important to focus and set intentions on being very deliberate. You can actually activate God's biology into greater health. And so instead of fearing disease, fearing viral infections, why don't you just concentrate on giving God's biology, giving your biology more than ever before? Now, you see a picture behind me. This is a fruit called dragon fruit. And I'm not going to go into detail about all of its benefits, but I will say this. I ate dragon fruit for the very first time this morning, and it was pretty good. I actually had it organic and frozen. I got it from Costco, and I'm actually inspired to try it fresh because I've seen it at Whole Foods, and I knew just looking at it when I saw that fuchsia, that if you look at it, it's like hot pink. It's fuchsia. So I said, man, given what I know about the science of phytonutrients, I said, I've not seen a fruit with that pigment, that color profile, fuchsia, hot pink. You either see red or you see purple, but I don't know any other fruits that have this particular color. So if you look at it, it's fuchsia. It's very beautiful. So given what I understand about, phytonutrients, which are the color pigments found in fruits that have proven benefits in terms of how they influence beneficial reactions inside of our body, I said, whatever phytonutrients that this dragon fruit have, I want in my bloodstream. And so, this is a new year. This is all about upgrading God's biology. This is all about focusing on giving God's biology more than ever before. So, when we entertain the question, how do we eat to survive, thrive, and stay alive in 2021? You've got to give God's biology more. It does so much for us. We have, trillions of bacteria in our gut. We have, they even say trillions of cells, but there are way more bacteria in the gut and in our bodies than there are cells. So when we think about what we can do to arm our biology, to defend our biology, so that one, we can ideally prevent chronic disease. And for those of you who've already been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and or other metabolic syndrome conditions, whether it's type 2, which starts with elevated blood glucose levels, and there's abnormal insulin or insulin resistance. For those of you who are dealing with that, for those of you who are dealing with high blood serum triglycerides, abnormal cholesterol, for those of you who are dealing with chronic inflammation, because if you're overweight, if you have abdominal belly fat in excess, there's inflammation there. A lot of times my customers, when they talk about the fact that, they were once not overweight and now they're overweight, they see the expression of excess fat around the face. They see it around the back, the lower back. So where there's excess fat, there's also chronic inflammation. So whatever is going on with your biology, just know there are natural answers. There are natural solutions so that you can arrest and reverse whatever condition or symptoms you're seeing. But you got to be intentional this year. You can't just say, I want to be healthy. You can't just make that claim and not provide your biology with the compounds, the nutrients, the foods that are actually going to upgrade your biology so that you can actually have that wonderful opportunity to live with the body you really, really want. You know, I always ask my customers during consultation, who do you really want to be physically? Who do you really want to be physically? And so as we are now on the 6th day of January, we're 6 days into this new cycle, 2021. It's important as I interact with you, share some insights around, you know, what you can do eating wise to survive, thrive, and stay alive. Because we don't want to just survive, because a lot of people are still alive, they're surviving, but barely. If someone's dealing with a medical condition such as type 2 diabetes, usually you don't just have type 2 diabetes. Usually you'll have a cluster of conditions: excess abdominal belly fat, elevated blood glucose levels, insulin resistance. Of course, that leads to conditions like strokes. You can have a stroke, which is indicative of a cerebrovascular disease. You can have cardiovascular disease. You can have heart disease kick in. Cardiovascular is heart and blood vessel disease. So all of this can not only be prevented, but you can arrest and reverse these conditions that are diet caused or diet induced in the first place. So how do you do that? Because we don't just want to survive. We want to biologically thrive. We really want health success. Now, I can't speak for you. I know while I'm here inhabiting this body on earth, my happiness, my enjoyment of life is dependent upon how well my biology works, how healthy I am. So, most healthy-minded people aspire to health success. Now, again, in order to achieve health success, which is metabolic health, you've got to be very intentional. So, as I said, today was the very first day in my 49 plus years of being on the planet Earth, the first time I've ever had dragon fruit. This fruit, if you look it up, it's loaded in micronutrients. My cells and my genes will now get to benefit from all of the illustrious God-made pigments. See those colors? Those colors are phytonutrients, and when they're circulating in your bloodstream, and keep in mind, when you eat something, it becomes part of your blood once it's digested. Now, let me say something about digestion. Let me say something about the gut. If you're eating foods that are micronutrient dense means high in vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and those colors. See those colors you see? Those colors, phytonutrients or phytochemicals, have a function, a beneficial function. They cause beneficial reactions. See, if you're saying you want to be healthy, health success starts within your cells as reactions. And you can create reactions. You always create reactions and reactions are beneficial or reactions are detrimental, you're always creating reactions within your cells whenever you eat and whenever you drink something. And that's why I've always said eating is training. Eating is training, because when you eat and drink something, it immediately causes reactions within your biology. So when we think about the gut, the first place or space that receives what you consume, what you eat, is your stomach. And so when we talk about the whole gastrointestinal system, from stomach to small and large intestine, we're talking about an environment that is so full of bacteria, so full of gut flora. And so the bacteria in our gastrointestinal tract benefits from whole, unprocessed plant-based foods. And so they have so much science on the relationship between the gut and the brain. So it's important when you think and say to yourself, man, I really want to be healthy. I want to lose weight. I want to prevent diabetes, or I want to arrest and reverse diabetes. Well, in order to create those realities, those rewards, to live with those biological rewards, you have to eat intentionally. So I knew, as a part of my health success agenda and me approaching 50 in June, I want to do some new things. I want to consume a broader array of plant-based foods. Because if you look at the food groups, you fundamentally have whole, natural, unprocessed plant-based foods. You have processed foods, which are highly processed, full of sugar, oftentimes oil or fat, and salt, and highly addictive. And then you have animal products, which is eggs, milk, cheese, what they call dairy. Milk and cheese is dairy, and then eggs is no longer in the dairy category as of years ago. And meat, fish, poultry, beef. So if you look at the three broad food group categories that the USDA deals with, there's only one food group category that's been proven, scientifically proven, clinically proven, to engineer health, to ensure that your liver, your kidneys, your endocrine system, which is made up of glands, and glands secrete and make hormones, your physiology, your nervous system, your brain, your heart, your lungs, your vascular system, your sexual organs and glands. If you want all of the cells in your biology to not just survive, but to thrive, you've got to be very intentional about consuming whole plant-based foods that are nutrient and fiber dense. So this dragon fruit is what I had for breakfast for the first time. I'll probably snack on some later. I'll have it tomorrow. But right now, I'm personally concentrating on dragon fruit, blueberries, which has been a part of my regimen for many, many years, blueberry consumption. There's barely a day that goes by that I don't consume blueberries. Blueberries are one of the foods that so far it's been demonstrated this food, blueberries, or high blueberry consumption, is the one food that they can see prevents dementia. So which the leading minds and specialists who are doing the research on dementia are referring to dementia or Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes. And I understand why, because when we look at the landscape of food, here again, the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, when they show you the breakdown on what Americans are consuming, where Americans are getting their calories from, you've got three broad categories. That's plant-based foods, processed foods, and animal products. And so we know the evidence is clear that when you consume high amounts of plant-based foods and minimal to no amount of highly processed foods that are calorie rich, sugary, salty, fatty, and addictive, and you minimize animal product consumption. In my case, for 33 years now, I don't consume animal products at all. I don't consume poultry, chicken, and turkey. I do not consume fish or any other seafood, and I don't consume what people call meat. To me, meat is any animal that you consume, whether it flies in the air, walks on land, or swims in water. But oftentimes in most people's mind, they don't consider seafood as meat. I consider seafood meat. So I don't consume any animal products, but my message to you is I can't tell you to become 100% plant-based. You have to discern and discover why it's important for you to increase your plant-based food consumption. And if you decide to go 100%, cool, that's a personal choice. But I will tell you this, if you want to achieve health success, which is from a scientific or medical standpoint, metabolic health, metabolic health is, just imagine like your cells are not compromised by elevated levels of hormones like insulin. Your insulin levels are fine. There's not excess, if you're an adult, there's not excess IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor, circulating in your system. IGF-1 promotes cancer. And the more animal products you consume, the more IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor, which is a hormone. It's fine if there's elevated IGF-1 in your body and you're a young person because you're still growing. It promotes growth of tissue. And so young people are growing. Boys are getting taller, girls are getting taller, the reproductive systems and glands is transforming so that they're in a position to be biologically capable of procreation. So IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, in adults, when it's elevated, promotes cancer. That's not good. So you got insulin-like growth factor, IGF-1, and estrogen. So those three hormones are responsible for chronic disease states, metabolic syndrome conditions, whether it's type 2 diabetes, whether it's polycystic ovary syndrome, different types of cancers that are estrogen influenced. But those three hormones create problems in the body. Insulin, elevated insulin, IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor, estrogen. How do you elevate those hormones where they're at levels that cause problems, disease in your body? Just eat high amounts of animal products. Have a daily dose of calorie-rich and processed foods, whether it's potato chips, breads, juices, popcorn. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy popcorn, but I've even reduced the frequency at which I ingest popcorn. So processed food consumption at a high level. When I say high level, think there's 7 days a week, right? So out of 7 days, if you're consuming calorie-rich and processed foods in excess of 3 days, you're going to have elevated blood sugar. And if you have elevated blood sugar, you're going to have insulin issues, insulin resistance. It's going to be too much insulin, too much glucose in your system. If you're eating animal products, you're going to have elevated insulin-like growth factor 1. IGF-1, that hormone is going to be elevated in your body, and it's going to turn on and promote cancer. And if you have estrogen that's elevated in your body, that's going to cause problems. We know in the science that there's specific types of cancer that are connected to estrogen. So let me check out some comments. Oh, thank you, Mom. My mom's on here checking me out, saying I look well. Yes, yes. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate it. Um, yes, deliberate is my word. That's right. Latina, what's up, my brother? And so, yeah, it's like this is 2021. There's a certain seriousness that you've got to approach it with some seriousness. Like that whole attitude that I can eat whatever I want, that's old. That doesn't make any sense, especially for people who want to stay alive as long as possible. People who want to get the most out of this thing called life and not check out early or experience premature death because of the way they ate. That doesn't make any sense to me. Now, let me say this. Food addiction is real. Food addiction is very powerful. So what I'm going to do is close out because I've got to go pick up little Shabaka for tennis practice. Time flies. It moves so fast. So I will do a second video as a follow-up. And in my next talk, I'm going to talk about food slavery. I'm going to talk about food addiction. Because when we look at how to eat to survive, thrive, and stay alive, food slavery and food addiction is basically the number one obstacle that's preventing people who are obese and people who are overweight from losing weight. It's keeping people who are diagnosed with diabetes and high cholesterol or abnormal cholesterol levels. It's keeping them in a biological and metabolic state where they're going to sustain those chronic diseases in their body. And our bodies aren't intrinsically flawed. Our bodies are designed to constantly seek regeneration. God's biology has inherent constant regenerative power, but you cannot activate and exacerbate that healing, that regenerative healing power, renewing power within your biology without giving your biology the foods, God-made foods, micronutrient and fiber dense foods that will create the very reactions and produce the results that we call health from a biochemical, physiological, and an energetic standpoint. So this is like I call an introduction video around the whole matter and issue of how to eat to survive, thrive, and stay alive in 2021. I thank you for your time. Send this video out to others. Ask them to follow me, like it, share it. There will be a follow-up video to this particular video. And for those of you who want support online, because some of the things I deal with, I'll share talks, I'll share information, I'll share insights that are science-based, but it's important that we go from science to the steps. You need a guideline to follow. You need to know what steps, action steps to take. And then move from science to steps to actual the habit. You need the habits. You need to actually get into the habit, which is the skill. From science steps to skill. Eating to survive, thrive, and stay alive is a skill. And so one of the biggest impediments is food addiction. Addictive cravings to addictive cravings for sugary, salty, and fatty processed foods, calorie-rich and processed foods, engineered to ensure that you come back for more, are responsible for the food side, the premature death that's occurring in America. Now, even responsible for people who, upon being infected with the coronavirus, they already have pre-existing metabolic syndrome conditions, which have made them immunocompromised and compromised in terms of their lungs already. There's already excess and chronic inflammation in the lungs of someone who's overweight and someone who's obese. And so the coronavirus hitting your body now is putting you in a situation where you already have chronic inflammation, and this virus and your body's reaction to it, your body as an immune response is going to go into this storm, and there's going to be more inflammation and more fluid in the lungs. So that wouldn't happen if you were ingesting nutrient, micronutrient, and fiber-dense plant-based foods. You would recover. So in my estimation, in my opinion, the greatest vaccine that you can take is the vaccine that I refer to as a whole foods plant-based eating style, consisting of nutrient and fiber-dense plant-based foods that are very colorful. Get some dragon fruit, do your research, look it up. I know right now, fruits-wise, I'm on dragon fruit, blueberries, kiwi, apples. I do lemon and ginger juice daily that I actually make. I put ginger root and I put lemons in a juicer, and I add this lemon and ginger root juice to my water every morning. So I'm going to close out by saying it is very, very possible to learn how to eat, to survive, thrive, and stay alive. There's a wisdom and understanding that you need in order to be successful. Folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and look forward to the next video in this series of eating to survive, thrive, and stay alive. It's your main man, Shabaka Amen, online weight loss expert, nutrition performance coach. And if you want support online, I can help you in a number of ways, whether it's through the Plant-Based Loser Challenge or the Plant-Based Pledge. I have 2 online communities. And the key to moving forward, where you go from science to steps to the skill of actually eating in a manner that brings about health success, is getting support. I'd love to support you. Reach out to me, send me a message through Facebook or a message in YouTube. Leave a comment. But if you want my support, I can coach you online. And I am now, for 2021, offering online virtual consultations where we can see each other in a closed-off private room. I'm now offering virtual consultations for those of you who want to move from where you are biologically to becoming who you would really like to be physically, in health, in fitness, in well-being. Peace out. I got to go. Have a remarkable Wednesday. Share this with others. Please like it. Leave a comment or a question. I'll make sure I follow up as soon as I can. Peace.